I built up myself to about 10,000 followers just working with other people who were creating content. So I
Okay.
was writing jokes and I was doing like funny pop culture stuff.
Tell me more
So,
about that, because I know I read about how you had like the Dave Chappelle username or something on Twitter.
yep,
So
yep.
how did you come up with that idea and why? Why'd you do it?
So that's an important piece of this like long puzzle.
Okay.
So what I did first is I had like this alter ego where I would post like really, really offensive jokes. And that was me. I was writing those and I would talk about everything that nobody else wanted to talk about. So I'd take a piece of news and I would write something really offensive about it, but it would go viral. Now, I built up myself from 10,000 followers to like 100,000 followers. Then one of my buddies hit me up and he's like, hey, I don't really know what Twitter is or how to use it, but I don't know if this is of any use to you, but I have the username Dave Chappelle. Dave didn't have any social, no Twitter, no nothing. So I was like, sure, I'll take it. And what I started doing is I would just copy and paste all my old good jokes and I would say my good jokes. So I would like rank them, how many favorites it got or how many retweets it got. And I would take all my viral content that I originally wrote, but I would post it on Dave Chappelle now. Well, I had in my bio official Dave Chappelle Twitter. And then the name was not Dave Chappelle 123, Dave underscore Chappelle. It was really just
Dave
at Dave
Chappelle.
Chappelle. So people thought it was Dave Chappelle. And even there wasn't even a lot of people, like half the celebrities weren't even verified back then because it was so early and they didn't even know how to get verified if they wanted to. So I start reposting my old content, but what I notice is like for Brandon, this random person on the internet that nobody's ever met that was funny, but like nobody knew him, I would get 1,000 reposts on some stuff. And that was a lot. Like some people, some celebrities weren't even getting 200 or 300 retweets and I was getting 1,000.
Wow.
But
Okay.
then what I would do is I would repost that same joke 2 months later on Dave Chappelle, 10,000 retweets
Just because you had the username.
because I had the user. So think about it like this. He has the voice, he has the delivery, he has the timing to make anything funnier. He has the same thing that every other successful comedian has. He has all of those elements.
Mm-hmm.
On Twitter, you don't have to have any of those elements because if you're Dave Chappelle and you post a joke, people read it in his voice. They think Dave's saying that. So it's automatically 10 times funnier. Mathematically, it was 10 times funnier than me because if I would get 2,000 retweets, he would get 20,000. If I would get 1,000, he would get 10,000. If I would get 500, he would get 5,000. So mathematically, so what happened is it took me about a year to get 100,000 followers on my personal page.
Mm-hmm.
It took me 3 months to get Dave's page to 400,000 followers.
Whoa.
And at this time, every topic, Dave Chappelle trending. Dave Chappelle is trending. Tsunami in Japan. Dave Chappelle was #1 trending. Justin Bieber #2. And this is Justin Bieber's prime.
And this is you.
This is me.
That's so funny.
So,
That's hilarious.
But what I started doing to get more attention,
You're like
and
catfishing 500,000 people.
I mean, at the peak, it
Basically.
had about 800,000, and it was like one of the biggest pages on Twitter.
That's insane.
And what I did was I started doing beef with other celebrities and with other comedians and with other news outlets, and I was just tweeting like the craziest shit that I could because I knew that it would get attention. So I was like tweeting at Chris Brown, and I was like starting fights with like Cat Williams on Twitter, and everybody was covering it, Media Takeout and World Star Hip Hop and like all these different sites back in the day, and I was getting all this PR so more people would just go follow the account. Like Dave Chappelle's, going crazy on TMZ and stuff. It was pretty wild.
Were you not worried about legal trouble?
I mean, it was a parody account, but I didn't say that it was a parody account. I just put official Dave Chappelle Instagram.
You
So
just said it. So what was your goal behind this?
I didn't have one. There was no goal. It was just I had the name, and I thought it was funny that people thought it was him. And what it really did was edified that I thought all the stuff that I would come up was creative and funny, and it edified that it was creative and funny because if people thought it was funny coming from him, they're not going to just say, well, it's Dave Chappelle, I'm going to say it's funny even if it's not. It just got me the edification that I wanted to the scale that I wanted because people thought that it was Dave. So it just really edified what I thought I knew in my mind, which was like, I'm coming up with some pretty cool, funny stuff. And I'm like really good and witty when it comes to creating these things. Now, what ultimately ended up happening was Cat Williams did have a Twitter, but he was like official cat 123 or something crazy, but he was verified.
Uh-huh.
So I actually got the username Cat Williams later. And I was Cat Williams and I was Dave Chappelle and I would roast each other
No,
from both.
dude. Oh my God.
So there's actually a clip on Jimmy Fallon. Dave Chappelle's on Jimmy Fallon. And he talks about this whole thing happening. So I went to Facebook and I tried to get my name and I couldn't. Then I went to Twitter. He's like, I tried to get my name and there was a page. And not only was there a page, Dave Chappelle called me hilarious. Let's just say that. Dave Chappelle said, I started reading the tweets and it wasn't me. It said official Dave Chappelle, but the guy was hilarious. And he was like talking to girls and roasting celebrities and like all this stuff. And he actually liked it. But ultimately what I did is I kind of parlayed my skill with social media with building content that went viral. And I harnessed that and I was like, okay, people are starting to advertise and pay people. How can I actually make money on this? So I started to build out other verticals. I was hitting on comedy already, but comedy doesn't make you any money. All the brands want to advertise to people who care about that type of category. So I created a lot of pages around women. So I created a fitness page. I created a love and relationship and dating and quote page. I created a beauty page and skincare and a wedding page and shoe page. So I started creating all these categories because guess what? Who spends the most money online? Women. So what advertisers are spending the most money to advertise? Brands advertising to women. So if I had the biggest women pages, I could get all the biggest advertising dollars and harness the biggest amount of consumers.
You're very interesting when it comes to seeking opportunity. So I love that about you actually. What's the key tip you would give for someone out there that's watching in regards to how can they see an opportunity when it's right in front of them? Because a lot of entrepreneurs, honestly, especially in this day and age where a lot of things are just not saturated but flooded, the market's flooded. There's so much out there that's like, what do you do?
Well, for me, what I've always done is I'm a big proponent of reverse engineering stuff. So you take an idea or you take something that's working somewhere else and you say, how can I do that but different? So the content was an exact, replica of what I just said. So I was getting, I had 1,000 followers, somebody else had 2,000 or 10,000. So I'd say, okay, here's what I do. Here's what they do. When I post this, I get 2% engagement. When they do this, they get 7% engagement. How do I replicate that? How do I do more 7% engagement stuff? And I would only do that. And I would try stuff, and if it would work, it's like if you go to anybody's Instagram page, go look at their last 30 posts. Find out the number 1 most engaged and find out the number 2 most engaged thing out of all those 30 posts. I guarantee you they both have a lot of things in common.
Similarities.
Go to the 2 least engaged things. I guarantee you they have a lot in common.